Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Radio Adelaide 101.5 digital and online. It's The In Show, Australia's only show dedicated to innovation from Adelaide, Australia and across the globe.
Hi everyone, I'm David Grice and I'm joined by Troy Sincock. Troy, I'm excited. This is our very first show and we've got loads of different stuff to talk about.
Yeah, this is really, really exciting, David. I think what's so good about this is the In Show is not designed just to be a radio show, but to live well beyond that, to podcast and all sorts of online platforms. It's all about building a community of innovators.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that innovators around not only Adelaide but around the country have the opportunity to have a voice.
Yeah, it's really important that the people that are doing some of the great works behind the scenes have the opportunity to tell us all about how things are for them, the challenges they're facing, the struggles, and some of the incredible work that they're doing that really is comparable to what's happening on a global scale. And that's what's so great about innovation. It's not one particular thing. There's innovation happening in all kinds of industries, in all areas.
Troy, when we say the word entrepreneur, what does that mean for you?
It always feels a little bit intellectual for me. It feels a bit highbrow. It feels like the people that are much smarter than me.
But what about those times where we're sitting around and we're talking about different things and you say, wouldn't that be cool if this could happen?
I've done that so many times. In fact, almost on a daily basis, you have an idea, people get excited about it and then they just get on with their normal day-to-day lives. Then years later, someone's actually done the damn thing and made money out of it.
Well, there you go. That's being an entrepreneur. So that means that if you've got an idea, you've got the ability to make something of it if you really want to.
I think what we'll learn through the journey of the In Show is that being an entrepreneur doesn't require you to have all the skills. It really just requires you to have an idea and then find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, and that's about building community, right? So if we get a community of people around, that idea through that community can actually become real.
So you can check us out online. It's theinshow.online and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Now, what have we got on this week, Troy?
There's some really, really big things. It's Entrepreneurs Week this week.
Fantastic. And it's really fitting that today we're going to speak with one of the key people that are driving that. And you're not going to believe what this week holds. Paul Daly is going to join us here in the studio and share with us the journey of how actually Entrepreneurs Week started. It's third year now. It's growing and developing. And of course, we've got all sorts of other things happening as well. We've got Augment Space who's coming in and talking to us about a word they call virtuality, which is going to be really interesting about touring different spaces using VR.
That's great. All right, we're going to head global up first with Claire.
The In Show, in the news with Claire Murphy, Radio Adelaide 101.5 digital and online.
Thanks, guys. You're not going to believe the thinking coming out of the AI world. You would think at least one AI-powered humanoid bot would have a nerdy name, maybe a Poindexter or a Hildegard. Nah, instead it sounds like the cool kids are in charge at most digital assistant and bot startups. Now, short names that top the popular baby name lists like Aiden and Riley are putting AI to work for marketers. Maya can chip in with recruiting and Ava helps the hearing impaired. You get the idea. Those are just two of the countless recently funded startups that are developing some sort of digital assistant or AI bot. These guys are working on tools for across a range of consumer and enterprise tasks, from lead generation and customer service to tracking personal finances. The really interesting thing here is that so far they haven't raised much venture capital. At least 3/4 of the companies we look at are at seed stage, and ones that are still private companies have collectively raised about $35 million in disclosed funding in the past year. Not too bad. On the flip side though, there are other startups developing bot technologies that don't have human names and that collectively boast a venture funding total of at least $62 million. But guys, there's good reason the friendly bot and digital assistant space is worth watching. For one, seed investors with some of the best track records in the tech industry are really active in the space. Y Combinator, which helps bring us Airbnb, Dropbox and Stripe, has actually made multiple investments in AI-enabled bot and digital assistant startups in the past couple of years, including Claire for retailers, Penny for personal finance, Ross for lawyering, Luca for activity planning, and as I mentioned earlier, Riley. Big name VCs who do most of their investing post-seed are also taking part in some of these rounds. Kleiner Perkins invested in Riley, while Greylock Partners led a $13 million first-time round for Oslo, a developer of conversational AI technology. General Catalyst, meanwhile, co-led a $3 million seed round for Butter AI, which bills itself as a personal assistant for tapping company knowledge. We found out that probably the most active corporate investor in the space is Slack, the popular team messaging platform that launched an app investment fund about 18 months ago. In addition to attracting savvy investors, digital assistant and AI bot startups also hold appeal for acquirers. The sector has already delivered one nice exit with Samsung's acquisition last year of Viv, the AI digital assistant startup founded by the creator of Apple's Siri. Samsung reportedly paid $215 million for the Silicon Valley-based Viv, which had previously raised $30 million. It seems the humanoid AI space could use some new characters. For now, most people just know Alexa and Siri. It's going to be interesting to watch the new kids mature and see whether any of them will grow up to become household names. This week we also uncovered that a few days ago a vertical takeoff electric plane called a VTOL jet conducted a test flight in an event that could change the world. The once out-there concept of flying cars now appears to be a step closer to reality after the Munich-based company Lilium completed successful test flights of a flying taxi. Anyone remember the Jetsons? Lilium, which is backed by investors that include Skype co-founder Niklas Zenström, and the planned 5-seater jet, which will be capable of vertical takeoff and landing, could be used for urban air taxi and ride-sharing services. In flight tests, a 2-seater prototype executed manoeuvres that included a mid-air transition from hover mode, like a drone, to wing-borne flight, just like a conventional aircraft. Airbus, the maker of commercial airliners and helicopters, are also telling us they aim to test a prototype self-piloted single-seat flying car later in 2017. The Slovakian firm Aeromobile said at a car show in Monaco on Thursday it would start taking orders for a hybrid flying car that can also drive on roads. They said they've planned production from 2020. Perhaps we should be trying to get them to make them here at the old Holden plant. So while this might seem quite unbelievable, makers of flying cars will still face hurdles, including convincing regulators and the public that their products can be used safely. This also opens up how regulations need to be future-thinking, because governments are still grappling with regulations for drones and driverless cars, let alone flying driverless cars. Lilium said its jet, with a range of 190 miles, that's over 300 k's, and cruising speeds of up to 186 miles per hour, is the only electric aircraft capable of both vertical takeoff and jet-powered flight. The jet, with power consumption comparable to an electric car, could potentially offer passenger flights at prices comparable to normal taxis, but with speeds 5 times faster. Other potential rivals include the crowd-funded Evolo, a firm based near Mannheim that has said it expects to receive special regulatory approval for its 2-seat multicopter with 18 rotors to be used as flying taxis in pilot projects by 2018. Terrafugia, based outside the US city of Boston and founded 11 years ago by MIT graduates, aims to build a mass-market flying car, while the US-Israeli firm Joby Aviation has said it's working on a 4-seater drone. Google, Tesla and Uber have also reportedly shown interest in the new technology. Guys, it's clear we're going to see this in our lifetime for sure. So fellas, as you can see, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the world of innovation.
Thanks, Claire. Now, talking about the flying cars, David, You've actually seen them in action.
Yeah, funnily enough, I was in Austin a couple of years ago for the South by Southwest Music Festival, and they had the flying car there. It was rather unusual, I thought.
So what was your thoughts at that time? Like, did it seem like it just wasn't going to get up anytime soon? Yeah,
it was kind of, this is just a little bit too unreal to be happening, you know, where there's a car that's driving along the road, it pulls over, the wings come out, and then it takes 50 metres to take off. It was just absolutely bizarre, but really amazing.
I can think of plenty of people who can think of, peak hour traffic in Adelaide and going, this is going to be a great ticket to avoid that. But I mean, when a flying car is released, I mean, you'd expect it to be price prohibitive for average people?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like they're wanting to make it so that it's accessible to the common man, and you can park it in your garage, and you can imagine you're going to work and well, actually, I'm thinking right now, what happens to car parking in the city? We don't have to worry about it. We just, go to our smart watches and go, pick me up, and it comes and finds you, and you sit in it, and it takes you home. No more DUIs.
It poses all sorts of questions, though, doesn't it, in terms of that these flying cars are going to be sort of in the drone space in terms of legal terms.
Yeah, and with people inside them. So there's going to be a lot of things that they're going to have to consider. And I think, too, around just looking about the autonomous vehicles that are starting to come out, and then you put that in the context of a flying vehicle, then it's going to really change the game.
And in terms of making laws, it must be a really difficult thing because often the technology is sort of like evolving right up to the point of manufacture. So how on earth do you actually create laws for these things without them physically being used? And we've talked about, there's been a lot of talk about driverless cars for years now, but this is taking it to a whole nother step.
Well, it is, and let's look at drones, for example. We're just now, after they've been introduced to the market, a couple of years ago, we're now talking about the regulations, that how we're going to, that we've got flying limits in place now that we didn't have before, and all those sorts of things. But it's all afterwards. It's all after the technology is come in. So with flying cars, they're going to have to be thinking about that fairly soon, because it's going to happen. We've just heard the end of this year there'll be prototypes on the market.
If you've got any thoughts or feelings on flying cars, jump on our social media. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The In Show. It's all about innovation. Radio Adelaide 101.5 FM, digital and online.
Adelaide is starting to be recognised as a smart city, nationally and globally. The City of Churches is rapidly gaining a reputation as the city for innovation. Smart city innovation is becoming a big part of our future. The Adelaide Smart City Studio is supporting people that are creating new smart city products and services for global markets. What we've taken for granted is now being embraced by residents and visitors alike. Station sponsor, Adelaide Smart City Studio, creating opportunities.
Radio Adelaide 101.5 digital and online. The In Show Innovator of the Week. Thanks to our sponsor, Adelaide Smart City Studio.
This is a segment dedicated to discovering the hidden gems in innovation and finding out how they got going.
That's right, Troy. We want to share some great local stories and learn from innovators in the process. So if someone said to you, Troy, you can virtualise your reality, you'd tell them they're dreaming, right?
Absolutely.
Well, not anymore. Augment Space has created a cloud-based solution that can help anyone create virtual reality tours within a matter of minutes. Joining us today is Akash and Priyanka, co-founders of Augment Space. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I really want to know how you guys came from India, you came to Adelaide, you set up here, and you've now got this amazing new thing called Augment Space about virtuality.
Oh, absolutely. Well, so I've had a background in creating virtual tours for forever, since like 2006, and then we realized that the world was going towards a place where everything needs to be virtualized, and people want such experiences, but there are no systems really that can make them mass available. So yeah, and it was just went from there.
What do you think makes Adelaide such a haven for new innovation, in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, Adelaide's just the perfect melting pot for a lot of culture, a lot of technology, and a lot of experimentation. It's just the right grounds for bringing out new products and testing it in a very, very controlled environment where you can reach out to each of your clients and ask them what they're experiencing, and they sort of somehow have the time to tell you about it.
So what do you think is the greatest challenge for emerging business?
From my perspective, most of the startups would think that the greatest challenge for them is finances. I would say that is not the primary reason. The primary challenge for any startup is figuring out the product that they're offering the end user and focusing their energies there, rather than thinking that it's the finances that are, is their biggest challenge. Because once they've figured out what the product is, it should be easy breezy for them to go to market.
What makes Augment Space different than other people in the field?
Well, that is a great question, and I'm glad you asked, because we've created technology that is helping anybody virtualize their environment literally in a matter of minutes for as little as $10. Now, what's happened till date is that virtual tours have costed people thousands of dollars. And imagine a cafe around the corner wanting to show themselves off and using it for tourists who are coming and putting it on, I don't know, like any of the tourism websites. They can do that with just as little as $10 a month. And that, for me, is really powerful, giving them the ability to show their environment and virtualize it within a matter of minutes, have it seen on a mobile or on their headset. So. Yeah.
And where are you seeing this used the most? Is it in the real estate game, or are you seeing this kind of technology used across multiple different industries?
Well, the most interesting use case that we've found for this technology recently has been the education industry. But the education industry, there's a couple of schools out in Whyalla, Boolaroo, and those remote locations in SA, which are adopting to this technology and using it in schools for STEM education.
There's another use case for the technology, which is using it for visual project management. Till date, whilst you're doing infrastructure project or any kind of building project or anything, and you have to visit a site to see it with your two eyes, that can be managed from your laptop, from the comfort of your own home, using this technology. You can do a visual project management and see how everything's going.
If you could offer one piece of advice to anyone who's starting out now, what do you think it would be, Priyanka?
So a piece of advice would be to keep it lean and clean. So
What do you mean by clean?
so making sure that when you're starting up something, obviously your mindset is let's keep it lean, but at the same time you have to keep it clean in the sense that your documentation needs to be proper. Make sure that all your ideas or all the features that you're figuring out are documented somewhere, and you assign some kind of priority level to them and pick it up as a phase 2 project for your product. So keep it clean so that tomorrow when you pick it up from where you left off, you can do it beautifully.
If I had to give businesses one advice, it would be that you need to develop products as your clients or your initial early adopters start asking for them. Make sure that you're developing things that are tight, and make sure that your clients really want them at the end of the day. That's what really matters.
Which is going back to what you were saying about you got a lot of the information from your clients up front.
Absolutely. And they were these guys said, yeah, we want this, we want that. And you know, when enough people said that we want this feature, we said, all right, let's develop it now, because they really want it.
We ask everybody that comes into the in-show one major final question. And this is about things that you're seeing emerging around the world, different, not just about your own technologies, but other technologies. And we have this question. Priyanka, Akash, what's in for you right now?
What's in for us really is mixed reality. And that's where we're seeing everything evolve towards. I mean, imagine superimposing the unreal onto your real environment, understanding context of your real environment from those unrealistic visuals, and then feeling that as if it was always there in your environment. It is the next level of technology, and tampering with your senses in order to add context to everything, better, deeper context.
I can really see, Troy, how when we thought about Augment Space, we thought about how that might work when we walked into a room. But you think now about the educational context and all that sort of thing that we've just heard about. I think that's just going to change the game in many, many ways.
Absolutely mind-boggling.
It is. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here. And if you go to the InShow website, you'll see a link straight through to Augment Space with some details on how to get a hold of Akash and Priyanka to find out more.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hear the InShow's interviews in full at theinshow.online.
Next time you need a ride, call the official taxi partner of Radio Adelaide 101.5. Suburban taxis, warm cabs, friendly drivers, and they know Adelaide better than anyone, including Siri. Just sit back and relax while Adelaide whizzes by outside your window. You can even listen to Radio Adelaide 101.5. So if you need a ride, call Radio Adelaide's favourite taxi partner, 131 008. Suburban taxis, 131 008. Station sponsor.
The In Show with this week's influencer on Radio Adelaide 101.5 digital and online.
Joining us in the studio is Paul Daly, who's known to many in the startup space in Adelaide. He's currently the advisor for entrepreneurship and innovation at the Adelaide City Council. He heads up the Smart City Studio. He's the convener for the Adelaide Entrepreneurship Forum, and he was director of innovation for MNet. And just when you thought he couldn't fit in anymore, he's also part of the team putting together Entrepreneurs Week this week.
Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Troy.
So I'm really curious to know a little bit more about the Paul Daly that everybody knows and loves around town. So So how did your journey into this whole ecosystem start?
Oh wow, it's been a long journey, and I'm dating myself. But back in the 80s, I started doing some work with the Enterprise Workshop, and we developed a business simulation that we were using in schools and things like that. And it was picked up and used by the Enterprise Workshop, which was one of the very early programs to support the development of entrepreneurs. I think back in 2000, when we were styling MNet as a way of creating a testbed around the emergence of mobile internet. Up until then, you had mobile phones were pretty much getting smaller and smaller. They were used for texting and voice. The idea of bringing the internet into the palm of your hand was something that was quite novel. The opportunity that emerged around that for developers and for creative people to create content and applications for mobile phones was something that really needed to be explained to people. But in those days, the telecommunications carriers had control. These days, they've been sidelined a little bit because people can go straight to the App Store or Google Play to get to download apps and that kind of thing.
Tell us about Entrepreneurs Week. How did that start, and why did it start in the first place?
Actually, it was a very fortunate sequence of events. South Start Conference had run the year before, but in 2015 it was scheduled for the first week of February. As it happened, I was involved with a committee involving somebody from the University of Adelaide and a few people from state government that were trying to see how we could promote a academic conference that was going to be on in the same week. Somebody put their hand up and said, well, why don't we put an umbrella over the whole thing, call it Entrepreneurs Week, and see what else we can bring into that week. Even though we made that decision in November of 2014, by the first week of February in 2015, we had 6 events in the week, and we had over 1,500 registrations for those events. So we realised there was a real appetite for this. And so the next year, we did it again. So last year in June, we had 46 events, and we had over 4,500 registrations. So this year we're working with Open State to run some events later in the year, and yet we've still got a really rich program for Entrepreneurs Week this week.
And you don't have to be an established entrepreneur to participate. You can just be someone interested in entrepreneurial activity. Oh,
absolutely. And I think one of the Entrepreneurs Week is a celebration of the role of entrepreneurs, the way that entrepreneurs creating new value, creating new businesses and new opportunities, new jobs. Interestingly, jobs going forward will be created by high growth startup businesses. When you think about big businesses tend to be reducing staff, trying to get more and more efficient, the new jobs and the new opportunities are coming from these startups.
It's really interesting. Troy and I were having a conversation earlier about this word entrepreneur and entrepreneurship, and we were talking about the elitism that comes with the name of that and the label that sort of indicates that takes someone fairly special to be an entrepreneur. But what we're doing here with Entrepreneurs Week is from what you're saying, is encouraging people to participate in the activities that are around entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people that act or behave entrepreneurially probably don't call themselves entrepreneurs. What we should be celebrating is the behaviours that that are linked to people that are entrepreneurial. But the nature of an entrepreneur is to see an opportunity and assemble the resources, and often they're not resources that are within their control. So you marshal the resources from wherever you can to address that opportunity, and you don't have to be the founder of a business to do that.
Yeah, because we were talking about before, you might be having a glass of wine with your friends and wouldn't it be great if we could do da-da-da-da-da-da, and then this idea comes and then, oh yeah, that'd be really cool, and then it just disappears. And I guess what we're saying is that anybody with an idea that might have some legs has the ability to participate and be part of this, generation of business.
Absolutely. And I spoke about all the programs that are available. Many of them are there to help people make that transition from, hey, here's an idea, has it got legs? What would it take to commercialise it? So there's a whole lot of help for people thinking along those lines.
And when looking at Entrepreneurs Week this year, is there a particular highlight for you? Is there something that really stands out?
Oh, there's many. I guess The opening event is a celebration of entrepreneurs, but it will profile some really exciting businesses, and it'll also focus attention on what's happening in the co-working space. People might not fully be aware, but the space industry, there's a conference, an international astronautical conference coming to Adelaide later in the year, and people probably don't understand just how much talent we have here in the space industry. There are a number of startups that are kicking real goals in that area. So some of those will be profiled in the opening event on today. Mm-hmm. There's also a keynote presentation from Susie Souza. She's from Austin, Texas. Has managed to incubate a whole lot of social enterprises. We've relaunched, or the Don Dunstan Foundation has relaunched the Thinkers in Residence program, and she's the first of this new breed of Thinkers in Residence who are focusing much more on social enterprises. Brand South Australia has the whole program is contained on the Brand South Australia website. It's featured at the moment on the homepage, Entrepreneurs Week 2017.
We have one burning question that we ask all of the people that come into the in-show, and that is about what you're seeing as the most influential and disruptive innovation you're seeing around the place at the moment. And we ask this question, Paul Daly, what's in for you right now?
Wow. For me, there's so many things, and I think it's almost like the confluence of a number of different things, the opportunities around big data. I'm obviously very close to the smart city side of things. It's a lot of open data, a lot of the data that's available to us is the raw material. And from a smart city point of view, I think there's an incredible opportunity through the analytics and the big data processing and particularly artificial intelligence to process that information and deliver really meaningful value for businesses and for residents and visitors to the city.
So obviously we're going to hear a lot more about the Entrepreneurs Week activities through Claire. So thanks for joining us, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Check out the inshow.online for all the InShow's interviews in full.
Freshly brewed coffee with creamy milk. Hot buttered toast with juicy sweet strawberry jam. Easily digestible news and current affairs. Freshly squeezed interviews and piping hot music. Join us for breakfast for news, local current affairs, arts and culture, and a great mix of music. 6:30 to 9:10 a.m. every weekday morning on Radio Adelaide.
Radio Adelaide 101.5 digital and online. What's in Adelaide, in Australia, and innovation?
So boys, there's a week jam-packed full of awesome events, especially for Entrepreneurs Week. Here's a few highlights. This morning's Entrepreneurs Week opening event is supported by the Department of State Development, the Adelaide City Council and the Investment Attraction Agency. The day will be officially opened by Premier Jay Weatherill and the Lord Mayor Martin Hasey, after which guests will hear from keynote speaker Susie Souza, Don Dunstan Foundation's Specialist Thinker in Residence. Head to the Convention Centre from 8:30 a.m. Tonight, check out the session on introducing creativity to your business at the Rob Roy Hotel from 4:30, where you will learn about unlocking innovation through creativity and demystifying how to develop creativity in your business. Tuesday brings us great sessions on Women in Innovation, GovHack Connections events, and the Adelaide Open Data and IoT Meetup. Wednesday marks the start of the South Start Conference and a great session called Your Idea is Gonna Be Big. What's holding you back? Thursday, check out How to Succeed in Business, Startups and Entrepreneurs, and the Uni of Adelaide's Think Lab, where you can give your ideas the unfair advantage. And wrap up the week and join Adelaide's vibrant co-working community for the launch of Co-working SA. Before you head to your next event, download the Phoner app. Find people easier, market yourself better, all using station sponsor Phoner on your mobile. As always, you can find out all about these events by hitting the events page on the InShow website for all the deets. Back to you, boys.
Next week on the InShow.
Well, next week's Innovator of the Week will take us into the realm of virtual reality with one of the leading companies developing next-generation VR software for training, simulation, games and entertainment. And we're going to be talking about how VR technologies are shaping future industries.
And I'll be bringing you the latest from some of the Entrepreneurs Week events, and I might just get us some exclusives along the way.
As usual, Claire's going to be bringing us news from around the world and highlighting all the cool events going on.
And make sure you check out the inshow.online website where you can sign up, listen to the podcast, find find out about all our guests and upcoming events. And remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
If you have any stories to share or any ideas, just make sure you submit them via the online form. Well, that just about wraps it up for this week. We look forward to chatting with you again next Monday.
Also, if you like us, tell your friends. If you don't, just keep it quiet. See you next Monday.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.